As Commander-in-Chief, I will ensure America always has the strongest, most lethal fighting force in the world. And I will fulfill our sacred obligation to care for our troops and their families, and I will always honor and never disparage their service and their sacrifice.
That was Vice President Kamala Harris criticizing Donald Trump over the reported confrontation, of course, between his campaign staff and official at Arlington National Cemetery late last month. That actually was her at her convention talking about previous remarks that the former president had made. Of course, then the Arlington National Cemetery issue became an issue. Now, a group of 10 senior military officials are defending Harris when it comes to the withdrawal from Afghanistan, their previous endorsement of her, following the lead of several high-profile Republicans, including former Congresswoman Liz Cheney, who says that she and her father, the former Vice President Dick Cheney, simply don't see a choice this November.
I've never voted Democrat.
Wow.
And it tells you, I think, the stakes in this election. I would expect that you will see far more Republicans and independents, when the time comes and they've got to make that decision, make the right decision.
All right, joining me now is retired Army Brigadier General Steve Anderson. He is one of these 10 senior military personnel who signed on to this letter backing Harris. General, I'm so grateful to have you on this morning.
Thank you.
So, of course, we're expecting today this report on the Afghanistan withdrawal from Congress to come and criticize President Biden here. Can you explain why you are defending Kamala Harris? Because obviously that was a very difficult day, and we lost 13 brave Americans as that final withdrawal was happening. Tell us your view of Kamala Harris's role in that and kind of why you view her as the right person to lead.
Well, thank you, Casey. I was in Afghanistan 2016 to 2018, so I saw firsthand the disaster of Donald Trump's leadership in Afghanistan. He had 4 years to fix it and to get us out of Afghanistan, and he didn't. And he absolutely set conditions for the things that happened to happen. For instance, he negotiated directly with the Taliban. He cut the Afghanistan government out of it. You would never do that. I mean, this is the guy that wrote The Art of the Deal, but yet one of the key players he didn't even talk to. He negotiated for the release of 5,000 Taliban fighters that have come back to haunt us now. And, everything that he did, try to set conditions to make this happen, he left an absolute mess. He also established a timeline, and that's something you would never do in a military negotiation. You establish your conditions-based, not date-based. So the entire thing was a mess. So I think Kamala Harris and President Biden did the best they could do, and they were handed an absolute disaster. And I feel that the Afghanistan withdrawal perhaps could have been done better, but in light of the conditions that were set by Donald Trump, we saw what happened.
Do you think that Kamala Harris deserves a different level of blame for what happened than Joe Biden does, based on what we saw that day?
Well, she was the vice president. She was part of the national security team. But ultimately, it's the president. The president makes decisions, not the vice president. But we believe that her as the president is going to make a remarkable change to this government. The thought of having Donald Trump in the Oval Office again, he's totally unfit for office. And that's why I've joined this group of 10 other officers, but part of a larger group of national security leaders for America, 500 strong, many of whom are like me, former Republicans like Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, that are no longer Republicans because Donald Trump has essentially ruined the Republican Party. Many of whom were military like me. We were always raised to be agnostic. I didn't know if my boss was a Democrat or Republican or any of my people. I didn't care. But since the 6th January insurrection, we've come up on the net and said, hey, wait a minute, this has gone on too long. If not now, if we don't step up now and speak out to the American people about our strong belief that Kamala Harris is the right person to be president, if we don't do it now, then when are we going to do it?
Why do you think it is that so many people, we've got this new polling out over the weekend, and it shows that people think that Donald Trump would be kind of a change candidate. There does seem to be a willingness from people even after January 6th to kind of, I've been out talking to voters and they're kind of like, well, that happened, it's in the past. they almost don't want to focus on it in a way. Why do you think that is?
Donald Trump is always focused on grievances and past issues that have come up. He has never been focused on the way forward like Kamala Harris is. She is all about hope and optimism and making this country better again, whereas Donald Trump just wants to turn the table. And unfortunately, there's tens of millions of people out there that believe Donald Trump, that have been essentially deceived by his lies, his con game that he's played with the American people. We cannot let that happen again. Okay, Casey, we've absolutely got to ensure that he never again comes up as president of the United States. I mean, so many. Just look. What's perhaps most telling is look at all the people that used to work for him that now not only won't vote for him, but believe that he is totally unfit for office. We cannot let this man. This is a guy that coddles dictators. This is a guy who doesn't understand NATO. He thinks it's like joining a country club. This is a man who will let the Ukrainians essentially dangle in the wind. Kamala Harris is going to fight for America and fight for the Ukrainians and fight for our national security.
All right, Brigadier General Steve Anderson, very grateful to have you on the show this morning, sir. Thanks very much for being here.